Welcome in, everybody, to Birds 365, the sixth
Man.
or the seventh attempt here. We got a new looking show. We're on a new software. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat on Birds 365. Obviously, looks a little different today. Right now, we had major technical issues. All right, does look like we are getting some audio coming through. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll do a quick broadcast today. We'll do a 45-minute show today. Obviously, had major issues on our other platform, but we do appreciate all the patience from everybody. Drama in Eagle Land, Johnny Mac. Drama in Eagle Land. I want to get right to you because I want to get your take. I listened to a 15-year veteran, Brandon Graham, come out and say what he said yesterday, really scathing on AJ Brown. He spoke on the relationship between AJ and Jalen, which I don't know what to make of that, but also said, the guy complaining needs to take accountability. Now Nick and Brandon are both backtracking those comments this morning on Birds 365. What do you make of this whole saga going on, Johnny Mac?
It's ugly. I think Brandon made an unforced error. I think AJ made an unforced error. I said that after the game. So, but I do want to. We don't have a ton of time, but I'd like, I hear all this that AJ's complaining about not getting the football. Like, when did he say that? Where AJ's not like, I got the whole transcript in front of me. Now, the problem was it was very short and direct, and there were, any thoughts on the offensive performance? It wasn't good enough. We did good things at times, but overall it wasn't good enough. What's going on with the passing offense? I don't know. You say offense not good enough. What are some of the things that has to improve on? Passing. Devontae says everyone wants to be in rhythm, but how hard is it when you throw 20 to 21 times a game? Incredibly tough. Moment on the sidelines when you threw your helmet at the end of the bench, 3 and out. As a leader on offense, what do you say about changing the offense, the standard or something? Put your heads down, go to work, and doing the things we've been doing and learning and growing. Conversations with Jalen, not too much conversation, to be honest. I don't know. Is the defense doing anything you hadn't seen on film? No. Express concerns to Kellen? Yes. How have those conversations gone? Well. Saquon, incredible, great runner. Congrats to him. We're all happy for him. Are the problems fixable? Yes, everything is fixable. Anything can get better. What would it take to fix? I don't know. What's it say that to you? We're never comfortable where he's trying to get. Where? It doesn't exist. But here's the problem. I said it after the game. When you speak like that and you're short like that, it allows everybody to take the baton in 57 different directions.
Right.
And that's where Brandon Graham went off the rails, and he starts talking about Jalen and AJ's relationship. And he's got to walk it back. So both were unforced errors, but I thought, I see it all over my social media today. Well, the last time AJ complained about not getting the football, yada, 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 stuff like that. He didn't complain about not getting the football. He said what everybody believes in that locker room. And Devontae said the same thing. Jordan Mailata said the same thing. Nick Sirianni said the same thing yesterday. Jalen Hurts has said the same thing. The passing game isn't good enough. So this is an unforced error by Brandon Graham. No question about it. And from Brandon's perspective, he's looking at a video. He's looking at that video of what I just said in audio. Thank God we finally have some kind of audio back. And he looks at that and says, AJ's pissed off. Well, he is pissed off. Anybody see Jamar Chase last night? Does anybody think Jamar Chase would be happy in this offense right now? Does anybody think Justin Jefferson would be happy in this offense? T.O.'s going back and forth with Donovan McNabb. This created that feud's still going for 20 years. Can you pick one big-time receiver that's happy, would be happy in this offense? Anyone. Give me one name. Who would be happy? Thrown for
Yeah, no, it makes
108
sense.
yards.
Well, that's where I'm
108.
wondering, like, everybody's upset with AJ and Brandon Graham evidently because of the drama that's been created, but is AJ speaking truth maybe? I
Oh,
mean,
he's speaking the truth.
yeah.
Why would you be happy with this passing offense? The only people happy with this passing offense are sycophants who are saying, well, we're winning games and that's all that matters to us as fans. Well, if you're being real, nobody's happy with this passing offense, including everybody in the room. As I mentioned, it wasn't just AJ Brown; it was a bunch of players. And the fact that you're frustrated after a game like that, and that's where I think AJ made his mistake, in the fact that, look, you got to handle it better. Jordan Mailata said the same types of things, but Jordan said it and said, I feel shitty, but, and I feel stupid because we win every game. That was his exact quote, but this isn't good enough. This is not up to our standard. And if he would have explained himself a little bit more instead of being so short, I think things would have went better for AJ, and you wouldn't have you can shut down some of these avenues people have gone down. But for those who are saying he's complaining about not getting the football, well, yes, from a logical sense, he's not happy because he's not getting the football. But he did not say that. He did not say that. And the reason he didn't say it is because they are winning games. And he knows if he says it when they're winning games, it'll come across poorly. But because you manifest that on him doesn't mean he said it. He didn't say it. He said what everybody else said. What can we improve on? Well, the running game's phenomenal, right? The offensive line's tremendous. What can you improve on? Passing. So he spent 3 minutes to answer that in a more substantive fashion, like Jordan Mailata. It wouldn't even be an issue. But now, people, and even you can blame the media, but Brandon Graham's the one who said it. You can listen to Brandon's quotes that he had to walk back. He looks at that video and he says, "Ooh, AJ's not happy with Jalen." All right, if that's how you want to frame it, that's fine. If that's your opinion, but he didn't say it.
Is there anything going on here, John, that you've noticed in the locker room that's deeper? Because now there's people who are, though this feels like last year again, locker room problem. I mean, you got a 15-year vet coming out and saying this, and obviously shows that it's not all peaches and cream inside the locker room. I mean, we're not in the start of a collapse here, are we?
No, I don't think so. One of the things I've said for many, many years is, you get 75 people together. If you talk about 53-man roster, you talk about the practice squad, you talk about guys on injury reserve, you're talking about 75 to 80 players. If anybody thinks all those players get along, there's a bridge in Brooklyn that's going on sale very, very quickly. The Eagles won a Super Bowl. The running back room couldn't stand the quarterback. Now we know because Darren Sproles is now I can talk about it because Darren Sproles has gone public with it. Couldn't stand Carson Wentz. A lot of people thought he was selfish after he got injured. Too woe is me. They won the Super Bowl. When they went to the Super Bowl again in 2022, a lot of disconnect. To me, the mistakes off the field, AJ made a mistake by acting the way he did after the game. Brandon made even bigger mistake by saying AJ shouldn't do that in the media, and then he did exactly what he said AJ shouldn't do. Even bigger mistake. To me, those dwarf in comparison to the mistakes on the field. Those are the bigger mistakes. And again, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Can you win this way? Sure, you can win a million ways. But your margin of error, I talk about it all the time. Your margin of error decreases by the way the Eagles are playing offensive football. And they want to increase that margin of error. And they want to get the pass game going. But there were a lot of good cut ups from different people, whoever you like, film guys. Acho had, if you could get past his hyperbole, he had a great breakup of what's going on. Where the ball's not coming out on time, which I've talked about since week 1 practically. It's not coming out on time. Why is that the reason? Could be a million reasons. Hesitancy, not seeing the field well, not understanding the concepts, not but you see, guys breaking over. Could be AJ Devontae, for whatever reason. Jalen doesn't pull the trigger when he's supposed to pull the trigger. That's the kind of stuff that's more important. Can they fix that? And that's what, AJ said. Everything is fixable. Anything can get better. But we're now, in week 15. What are we? Week 15?
Going into week 15, yep.
Are they going to fix it at week 15? I don't know. I don't know.
You have any issue with the way Brandon Graham handled it yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Brandon shouldn't have said what he said. I mean, hey, he's admitted he doesn't know the relationship between the two. And it doesn't even matter if they're best friends. Wouldn't surprise me if they're not best friends any longer, because they are working together now.
Right.
And that's different than just being, friends outside the office, so to speak. Plus, AJ's got a big family, doesn't have a lot of time and all that kind of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're not as close as what they once were. But who cares? I mean, that part of it doesn't matter as long as you're doing the job on the field. And anybody who's defending the Eagles passing game, because I saw our buddy Jeff Kerr throw out a bunch of stats. Come on. Silly. This is not a good passing game.
I know. I mean, I get the quarterback rating. People responding to me the quarterback rating all the time.
Gives a shit? Like, you throw the ball 29 times in the fourth quarter. All right. You got a good passer rating. Who gives a shit? I mean, anybody who looks at this passing game and says, oh, this is going well, you're lying to yourself.
Oh, man. I started the show earlier, which nobody heard because evidently no audio was coming through, about 5 or 6 attempts. Drama in Eagle Land, everybody. We are 11-2, and I don't know why, John. This city is a magnet for drama. I mean, only the 11-2 Philadelphia Eagles with 9 straight wins would be having these conversations on a Tuesday. There's the Chiefs. There's the Bills. All these other teams. You don't hear any of this shit. Why is this city? Why is this team so filled with drama?
I disagree. I disagree with it. That's why I bring up happens in every city. Happens even more if you're losing. Look at Micah Parsons last night.
Yeah, I know, but you don't think it's different in, like, you think the drama right now in Philly is happening in Kansas City, in Buffalo, in Detroit, in Green Bay, and any of these other contenders?
Happens in every city. Now, there's more media. Again, Philadelphia has the largest media contingent. So maybe from that perspective, it's a little bit turned up. But it happens in every city. That's why I always bring up. Think about it in your personal life, all the listeners. Line up the next 80 people or meet. Are you going to get along with all of them? It's just insanity that people think everybody's on the same page. There's never been a history of in the NFL of a team, Super Bowl winner down to the worst team, that is everybody on the same page. That's bullshit. That's a narrative that people frame. There's one Super Bowl team in this franchise's history. Behind the scenes, there was so much friction because of Carson not handling the situation well. And they won the Super Bowl. It happens every year. It happens, Doug's last year. I mean, that was a disaster. Chip's last year, a disaster. It's worse when you're losing, obviously. But yeah, this nonsense of everybody being on the same page. We're all, Malcolm's quote. We're all we have. We're all we need. I mean, come on. Sproles is fighting with Carson Wentz behind the scenes in rehab, which he's now admitted, so I can talk about it.
Right.
Doesn't exist. It's made up. It's made up. It's fantasy. And that's why I try to bring it down to a personal level, to people's own lives. There's not a person in the world. You can be the biggest people person, like Brandon Graham might be the biggest people person I've ever met. There's not a person, and look what happened. He made a mistake. It doesn't exist. That's a fantasy world. So for people that believe it exists, it might seem worse when this stuff creeps out. But again, this stems from what's happening on the field, not off of it. 118 yards in Baltimore, 108 yards against Carolina. These are pathetic numbers. Pathetic. To the point when, I mentioned it after the Baltimore game, clearly because I'm the one who asked Nick Sirianni the question when he went off to the Jalen Hurts should be in the MVP conversation tangent. I remember saying directly after on the postgame show, I said, I guarantee you, Nick, gets briefed before those press conferences. He gets the game book. He's looking at the stats. He sees that number and he goes, oh boy, I'm gonna talk up my guy. I'm gonna talk up my quarterback. And by the way, that's what he should do. But obviously he doesn't belong in the MVP conversation. And 118 turns into 1. It gets worse the next week against a 3-win team. So again, for those who want to throw AJ on the fire, just give me one receiver, one big time receiver over the past 30 years that would be happy with back-to-back games of 118 and 108 passing yards. Give me one. And don't say DeMonte Smith because he's quiet, because DeMonte was complaining about the offense after the game. Because who wouldn't?
Oh, God. Not what we want to be talking about.
You think T.O. was coming out 20 years? He's like, still complaining about that. You think T.O. would have been quiet with 108 passing yards?
Oh, my God. T.O. would have been ripping.
Donovan, you think? I mean, to me, it's a lot of it's common. Nobody's happy with this passing offense. Nobody. So don't blame the media. Don't get all baby ears. Don't get upset. It's a bad passing offense right now. And they want to get better. Everybody wants to get better, and everybody knows it. Before Brandon even spoke, Nick Sirianni admitted yesterday, wasn't good. Passing offense. Now, he framed it as nicely as possible, but even he can't deny it ain't good right now.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. I want to hit some super chats here. The new system works a little different on super chats, so I lost 2 of them, but I can read them. I just can't put them on the screen. Brian Pumper for $5 came in and said, "Good morning to everyone except Jalen Hurts and his stooges. I'm with you, J-Mac. Team AJ all day. Hurts is no read, but he squats 600 pounds. Brian, thank you. I'll try and get everybody else's as they come because this new system is a little bit different. Here, Dirty Air checks in. Dirty Air, thank you, brother. Dirty Air says, the problem now is AJ, Hurts, Nick, Kellen, Saquon, and every teammate is going to have to field questions endlessly about this, taking focus off of what matters, just getting the offense better." Like, I agree with that completely.
Well, I mean, but part of your job is answering questions. I mean, one of the things the NFL has media policies for a reason, because they want people covering their game and they want people interested in their game. So, whether stuff like this is going on or stuff like this isn't going on, the locker room is open 45 minutes on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, and guys have to talk to the media. What those questions are, obviously differs from week to week. Sometimes it's more game oriented, sometimes it's more controversy oriented. But in this case, AJ shot himself in the foot and Brandon shot himself in the foot. So, yeah, are they going to get asked questions about it? Of course. Why wouldn't they ask questions? What would you do? Not ask questions about it if you're in the job of covering the team? Is this not a story? What the hell do you want us to ask about, if not this?
Super chats coming in. Big thanks to everybody for being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button. Sorry for all the technical issues today. Johnny Mac, what's the schedule for the Eagles today? I know we're going to talk about this a lot more, and I got plenty of super chats still that I will read. But what is the update? What's the schedule for the Birds today? I know Nick was already on WIP, but anybody that speaks now this week, John, the pressure is on. The awareness, the viewership will be heightened.
Today's coordinator day, so just Vic, Kellen Moore, and Michael Clay, and then back to practice on Wednesday for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's when the locker room will be open. Nick will speak, so obviously he's going to get asked questions about this. AJ probably not going to speak. Last year when something like he went away for a couple weeks before he came back. Now, technically, you're required by the NFL to speak once a week as a player. Believe it or not, we do not push that generally as a media contingent for guys who are generally helpful. And AJ typically is, so we're probably not going to push it, at least for a week or two. Brandon's certainly not going to run from anybody, but he's injured. So he might not even come in the locker room. He doesn't have to come in the locker room. And that might be the best tack for him, to be honest, right now. So Nick's going to be the one that's got to focus in on it because Kellen Moore's not going to say anything. We know that. But, yeah, I mean, this is Nick's job as a head coach, and this is what people say. What a CEO coach has got to do, you got to put out fires. He's got to put out a fire.
Read a couple more super chats. I can't put them all on the screen. Sorry, everybody, but I will read them out. James Carver, actually, SMD Eagles said a member chat. She said, well said, Johnny Mac, talking about Brandon Graham. Thanks, SMD. James Carver checks in with $10, says, I think what Landon said after and clarified what I also expect BG to say again, because he also clarified his points beyond what was clipped and shared, is that the whole offense, including AJ, are naturally upset. Landon Dickerson, when we know we can do this and when you go out there and don't, it's frustrating for everyone. There's not one selfish dude in that locker room. That includes AJ. I don't believe we're anywhere close to that. Breakdowns, etc. The media is great at the same time. It's their job to have a dramatic story. That's what sells. And it's frustrating when you're not able to go out there and do it. AJ could have said more and was said by all the others, but that opens up new stories for the media to use and run with. That's James Carver. James, thanks for checking in with those super chats from Landon Dickerson. I think that's a fair point.
Well, I would just push back on James about the media part of it, that look, we didn't tell Brandon Graham to say what he said. We didn't tell AJ Brown to act.
I think maybe did Landon comment on that? Is that what James meant?
Yeah, Landon and Landon's perspective, look, there's a bit of an adversarial relationship, and they're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be friends with the players. We all try, at least the ones who do it the right way. We all try to be professional. But there's a lot of guys who don't like us for obvious reasons. There's a lot of fans that don't like us for obvious reasons. But I mean, we didn't do any of this. This has nothing to do. Yes, there's different forms of, old school, there's no real print anymore, but beat reporters, television reporters, radio, and this is not radio, but I put my foot in both camps, and it's not easy to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And look, we all know what WIP is, that people are local, and yeah, they're sensationalists, but that's not the media. That's not the media. So I would say don't put everybody in the same bucket.
I don't know how people can blame the media for this. Brandon Graham, a 15-year veteran, an Eagles Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, is talking about things. I mean, this isn't the media. This isn't
Exactly. Although, Brandon's got his own show, so he's part of the media now.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that out. Maybe everybody can blame him now too.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of people who think the media is the biggest problem.
No, it's freaking ridiculous, and they all think we're one big monolith, and we all think. And I always joke, we have the weekly meetings, the cabal to undermine your favorite team. We don't give a shit. Again, our job is to cover the team and get as much information as possible. Brandon Graham created this story. Nobody else. And I love
a big story Monday too about the passing game based on AJ's comments. So that's the other thing. Like everything this week has been Eagle player fueled. We could have talked about the passing game, but AJ Brown came out and said what he said. A lot of people in the locker room said what they said. That created the story yesterday, which dominated headlines all over YouTube, on Twitter, on TV, whatever sports media.
I would say
now it'll be this though, John. I mean, that's two straight things that are started by Eagles players, and I'm not criticizing the players. But I'm telling you, if you think this is media driven, it's very clearly not media driven. In fact, it might be bigger inside the locker room than they're even letting on to believe, or that they're letting reporters believe.
Oh, it's far bigger. No, but we all know how big it is, how much they're trying to fix the passing game. Like that's a narrative of, oh, well, they're winning games, so it doesn't matter. That's a bad narrative. Oh, it matters very much to them. And by them, I mean everybody from Jeffrey Lurie on down, including the quarterback, including the head coach. Nobody's happy. And again, if anybody sat there after 118, after 108 yards and said, oh, this is fine. Yeah. I mean, you're lying to yourself. No. It's not fine, especially when you factor in the talent that has been assembled. So that's where, and I don't even like the word upset. I said that I like the word frustration. There's tremendous frustration with the passing offense right now.
Seth Shifley checks in, $5 super chat. He says, this screams collapse again, John. What can be done at this point with this situation? This just feels like 2005 mixed with 2023.
Where's it going to collapse?
Well, I mean, John, it does seem like there's a lot of division and frustration. And I mean, like you always say, John, these are humans. These aren't robots that are good at football and you come up and you're playing video games with them. I mean, everything, they have to be humans, and things have to. This seems like there's some division in that locker room.
Well, there is some division, but there's always some division, which is why I brought up the Super Bowl winning team.
Is this not a higher level of division, though, than normal?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think so. This all, like, I think the mistakes on the field are are a bigger deal than mistakes off it that are obviously high profile right now. 2 unforced errors. But I think the mistakes on the field are far greater. My point, I'm talking about collapse on the field. You're playing Pittsburgh. All right, you might lose that game. I don't think they will, but they might. Then you're at Washington. Let's say you lose that game. Worst case scenario, you're 11-4. Then you have a dead Dallas team and a dead New York team. You know, I can't even picture this team being worse than 13-4, a worst case scenario. So where's the on the field collapse coming? That would stem, obviously, if you lose in the first round, wherever it may be, wherever you are, that would not be good. But as far as on the field collapse, I like last year, that's what I'm talking about. No, that's not coming. this team's so much better defensively than last year. You have Saquon Barkley. You didn't have him last year. That part of it's not coming. Can it affect the main goal? Yeah, of course. The goal is to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. That's already difficult enough, even when you are.
That's what I mean. The stars have to align, as you always say.
Yeah.
Well, this looks like we got a star out in Pluto for fun.
Well, my only point is if Brandon does it, if AJ handles it better, if AJ handles it like Jordan handled it, Jordan Mailata, in a similar fashion, if Brandon Graham doesn't say what he said because AJ handles it better, and none of that happened, the real problem still exists. That's the focus. That's the problem. That's the bigger problem. Now, does this help? No. But the bigger problem still exists in a world where Brandon Graham didn't make an unforced error, in a world where AJ Brown didn't make an unforced error. The problem still exists. And that problem is the passing game is not effective. So that is what has to be fixed. And do they have enough time to fix it? It's almost inconceivable that they won't get better. But I would have said that coming off the Baltimore game, and they got worse. So that, to me, is the far bigger problem than Brandon talking out of school and AJ talking in a way where he allowed people to take it in a million different directions. I can't tell you how many, like I said, I can't tell you how many social media comments I've gotten about AJ complaining about his lack of touches. And I say, oh, well, I cover the team every day. I see it all. I haven't heard that. Where did you hear that? Because I haven't heard that once this year.
Last night, Jamar Chase, 14 receptions, 177 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Think that'll help AJ Brown feel better?
No, but like I said, you think if Jamar Chase was here, he wouldn't have a problem. You think if
Jamar Chase was here, we'd have way bigger problems than whatever AJ Brown has created, because I think Jamar Chase, he doesn't give a shit. He will create the problems.
Well, I don't cover Cincinnati. I haven't heard terrible things about Jamar, but I know he wouldn't be happy if he didn't get the football. I know CD Lamb's never happy when he doesn't get the football. I know Justin Jefferson's not happy when he doesn't get the football. I don't know of any receiver that's happy when they don't get the football. And I don't know if there is one. I don't know if you want that receiver. Why would you want that guy?
Doesn't want the ball. It's true. Let's keep reading on Super Chats here. I can't put them all on the screen, like I mentioned. James Carver checked in and said, I know one person, J-Mac, Anais Smith, but just to be out there. I don't know what he was. I don't know what he was.
Anais. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm talking about big time receivers.
Yeah.
Nothing against Anais, but I'm talking about big time receivers.
Brian,
and why would you bother?
Good.
Why would you want a top 5 receiver at worst and not want to get him the football? Why would you want that? That no avenue you go down, if you want to make that argument, makes sense. Like, why would you not want to utilize that player?
James Carver said there was a quote in entire supers from Landon, not me, following Brandon last night. Okay, gotcha. So that whole thing was a quote from Landon. Brian Pumper checked in and said, we should be directing our blame to the quarterback. AJ has the right to cook Jalen Hurts because his play has been subpar and pedestrian. Simple.
But he didn't cook Jalen Hurts. Like, that's just made up in people's minds. I read essentially the entire transcript.
Yeah, he didn't, but doesn't it kind of, I mean, look, if you read deeper than what he said, doesn't it essentially point back to the quarterback? I mean,
well, when he said, he said, what are some of the things that has to improve? He said passing. That's it. One word. Well, obviously Saquon doesn't have to improve the running game. Obviously the offensive line doesn't have to improve. So what is he gonna do? You want him to lie? Say nothing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some people want him to lie and say nothing because we're winning games or something of that nature. But again, if it were just AJ, I could even buy somewhat into that narrative. It was multiple players, not just AJ.
Here we go. 11-2, and this is what we're fucking talking about here on Birds 365. We got drama, John. I know. I listen. Whatever people want to say, this is not something that you should sneeze at. I think there are some issues here, and we're gonna have to see how the team responds this week. I know AJ doesn't have to talk to the media during the week, right? Just Jalen. So it'll be interesting to hear what he says.
Well, and AJ does. We'll see if he does. He typically does. Now, there was a time last year when things were going awry where he took a couple weeks off. And again, we didn't push it because he's generally very helpful. But by league rule, he's got to speak. Everybody's got to speak or make themselves available. Some players don't get interviewed, obviously, lesser players. But obviously, if A.J. Brown's talking, he's always got a large media contingent around him. Same with Saquon, same with Jalen Hurts. But yeah, quarterbacks are forced to speak once a week. So yeah, Jalen.
He's not today, right? Is he today?
No, he's Wednesday.
Yeah, coordinators are today, so we'll see what they have to say about that. Everybody's going to get asked about it. Certainly, Kellen Moore today. We'll see what he says.
Brian, he's going to get asked about it, but he's not going to answer. You're not going to get anything.
Kellen doesn't give shit on anything. No. That's Kellen Moore for you. Brian checked in again and said, we real fans know our main issue is Christian Ponder 2.0. All season long, I've stood on my nuts, and it's crazy how the Jalenites defend their man. Nasty. Brian Pumper gets creative with his super chats, doesn't he?
You gotta. Brian is obviously not a Jalen Hurts fan, which I have no problem with. But you got to get off the Christian Ponder stuff, man. I mean, Jalen Hurts has won a lot of football games and had a lot of good games. Now, there are plenty of things to criticize him for. He is immensely better than Christian Ponder. Not even close. Not even close.
And Sean checks in. US $5. Hurts and Barkley have been the most reliable all season. Run game got us this far. AJ missed 3 games. Smitty's been injured twice, and Goddard 3 times.
Yeah, but obviously the running game and the defense is what this got this team to 11-2. Yeah, the passing offense is an abject disaster. And the only thing I push back on there is people pointing to, again, I always see that there's that famous quote, there's 3 types of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. So you can point to the scaling back of the offense and the lack of turnovers and the good passer rating and say, oh, he's doing well. He's not doing well. You're lying to yourself. Look at the film. Look at the passes. You know, whoever you trust, whether it's Baldy, and there's some people I would say do not trust, but that's up to you. But certain guys who know what they're watching. Acho is very good. Again, if he can get past his hyperbole. And he put a great clip out where there were 5 or 6 throws where he clearly identified ball's got to be out. Receiver's open. Ball's not out. You know, and sometimes it works out. His touchdown throw to DeMonte Smith should have went to A.J. Brown right off the bat. It was wide open, easiest throw in history, made it more difficult, but it worked out. But these simple throws, he's not pulling the trigger, and it's troubling as to why.
Johnny Mac, a couple minutes left before I let you go. I know you got to get down to NovaCare Complex. This is not the day for a shortened show, but that is what we have here due to technical issues. For those just checking in, we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. We're down at 71. We got to make up for that first hour we lost today due to technical errors. So if you're in here and you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button. We appreciate that. Kyle checks in and says, JM, what did Hertz mean by it's not my choice? Good question.
Yeah, that's I want to ask him that actually tomorrow because I had to bail on Jalen's press conference because of the post-game show because sometimes Jalen takes too long after games and I couldn't stick around for it. So I didn't see it. I wasn't in the room when he said it. And yeah, I read it. And I said, well, what the hell does that mean? So I had the same sort of reaction because it, without an explanation, and I wish somebody would have followed up. I don't know. It certainly seems to me it might mean he's just doing what he's told. And, he's not necessarily happy with that. But I don't know. And I hope to get clarification on that tomorrow. But yeah, it was very cryptic is how I described it. The way you said that.
Scott says, Zander, you better go to 11. I'll be disappointed if you don't. I will definitely give you guys some overtime, but Johnny Mac has to get down to the NovaCare complex. So we won't have John, obviously. That's why 8 to 10 works so well for Birds 365. James Carver checks in. It's just like Acho and Shady, along with both of y'all, especially J-Mac. There's two types of people. Those that accept Jalen criticisms with no problem, even though he didn't mention Jalen at all. And the second type will always back Jalen and be upset. I do certainly think that there's, a level of truth to what Emmanuel Acho said when he said that. There's people that can handle criticism of Jalen, and there's people who don't like it at all.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it all the time.
Yeah.
Don't want criticism of any player, which is fine, but it's not realistic. Nick said yesterday, and he's right. This is not a perfect game. Like everybody, nobody's ever played a perfect game. So everybody makes mistakes. And he was talking about football in general. Everybody makes mistakes in every game. And certainly the quarterback is not immune to it just because you like him. But for those who shit on him and don't acknowledge the accomplishments, they're just as bad as the other side. Because like the Christian Ponder compare, I mean, that is ludicrous. I mean, that's a flat out bad quarterback. First of all, he never made it to a fourth year as a starter. Never threw for 3,000 yards. Certainly didn't have 13 touchdowns rushing 3 consecutive seasons.
He's obviously not Christian Ponder, but is it becoming more evident that people inside the locker room think we have a quarterback problem? That's what it seems like to me. Maybe that might not be true, and I'm not even trying to say that that is true, but it's certainly what it seems like, John. It's certainly what it seems like.
Well, the Eagles have a passing problem, so that directly correlates to the quarterback.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah. Right now, the passing game is not acceptable. And, you can point, and maybe that's an unintended consequence to an historic season by a running back. And maybe that's why, but again, you point to the other teams who run the football well. Detroit, Baltimore, Minnesota, Green Bay. Why can they do both?
That's the frustration. This team is as good as the offense is with Saquon Barkley. This team should be setting records in every area. This team should be the greatest show on turf part 2. This team should be shredding teams. I don't think everybody and I know, John, you say that we overrate the roster, and I think you're right when it comes to the depth standpoint. But when you look at the starters on this team, it makes complete sense why the expectation would be through the roof for this team to be much more successful in the passing game than they are.
Well, yeah, well, that's part of it.
I mean, you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith running around, dude.
You know, the offense is underachieving. The defense is overachieving from a talent standpoint. So, you know, when you look at that defense and you see how Vic Fangio is maximizing what he has from a talent perspective, and you see that offense and you say, oh, I mean, what the hell? I don't even know how it's possible. If Saquon runs for 200 yards, I don't even know how it's possible this team is only throwing for 108 or 118.
Right, in theory, it should make it easier to throw.
Yeah. 3 times. There were 3 games, 118, 114, 108. 3 times. I don't even know how that's possible. And again, you can say, if you look at the numbers, Detroit has run for the same amount of yards essentially as the Eagles. When you've now 2 running backs, but essentially the same amount of yards. They actually give it to the running backs more than the Eagles do. And yet, Jared Goff is an MVP candidate. Derrick Henry's numbers are astonishingly similar to Saquon Barkley's, plus you add in Justice Hill. And Lamar Jackson is throwing the football all over the place, except against Vic Fangio's Eagles. Minnesota had 6 touchdowns last week. 5 to Jefferson and Addison, and Aaron Jones is having a good season. Green Bay, Josh Jacobs is having a good season. And they throw the ball to Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks and all those receivers and Romeo Dobbs and Tucker Kraft, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's bizarre.
Truly is. Let's get a couple more super chats before we let John get out of here real quick. 10 USD. Thank you, Christopher. I want to know, is Hurts having an issue reading the field or setting coverages? It seems almost every time that the moment the receivers are coming open, he has defenders in his face. Well, I mean, Christopher, it's the NFL, dude. You got 2.8 seconds to make a throw or you're going to be fucked. That's how it works.
Well, I'll say this. Contextually, Jalen Hurts has a cleaner look than everybody else, with the possible exception of Detroit, because he's got the best offensive line. So, you know, every other quarterback is dealing with more, with the possible exception of Jared Goff. You can at least argue every other quarterback is dealing with more than he is because of leakiness on the offensive line.
Rashid checks in 278, 202, 264, 311, 236, 230, 221, 232, 158, 183, 178. 11 of 13 games passing numbers to go with a historic running game. Yes, the pass game should be better, but come on. Rashid, the whole team is not happy with the passing game, but you're telling me I should be happy with it? Every single person.
I love that. By the way, early in the season, yeah, those first 4 games, the problem was they scaled it back because of the way those first 4 games went.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. And why did they scale it back? You should ask yourself that. 178, 158 is not acceptable either. I just went to the 3 low games, 118, 114, 108, which are pathetic. Yeah, I mean, if that's acceptable to you, fine. Again,
the entire team just told us.
Talk to AJ Brown, talk to Jordan Mailata, talk to Devontae Smith, talk to Lane Johnson, they're saying the same thing I'm saying.
Yeah, Rashid, I appreciate it, but I think AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Jordan
And
Mailata.
Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys have a problem with it, and you don't. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to take their word. Warfighter checks in. Last one, John, before we let you go. We don't deserve this team. If y'all want to bitch when we are 11-2, let AJ throw a fit and collect his playoff checks. Thanks to Jalen, Saquon, the offensive line, and the defense for his check. What a stupid fucking comment that is by Warfighter, dude. The whole team.
When Jordan
What are you talking about? And by the way, he actually makes me wonder a fair question. Is this directly money? Does AJ Brown have bonuses or incentives in his contract that are tied to yards and receptions?
He might have a bump for 250,000.
Okay, so it's not a lot, but
but I mean, yeah, everybody's got little bumps here and there, but I mean, no.
Well, he's not getting those bumps with Jalen Hurts.
He makes a shitload of money without it. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue with AJ is like everybody, and that, he's very competitive. He wants the football, but again, to the point of, Nick Sirianni yesterday. Nick Sirianni. If I want to bitch and complain, all right. I think it's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in the passing game yesterday. Direct quote from the head coach. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, I'll stay live for a little bit longer. John, just your final thoughts. Is the sky falling in Eagle Land? Are they going to prevail? Yeah. Is everything going to be all right? Is this collapse part 2? John, give me the overall view.
First of all, the team's 11-2. That part of it's correct. They've already clinched the playoffs for a 4th consecutive year. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to win the NFC East. They even have an outside chance to be the number 1 seed. Again, what are your expectations? My assumption is you want to win the Super Bowl. Can you win the Super Bowl playing the way they're playing? Sure. Again, margin of error. If you run up against Detroit and you're down 14-0, if you run up against Minnesota and you're down 14-0, if you run up against Green Bay and you're down 14-0, what's going to happen? Maybe you never get in that position, and maybe you can win. But the closest team to do it in recent years was San Francisco, the Jimmy Garoppolo 49ers, who took the air out of the football in the divisional round. I know the exact play. Eric Kendricks intercepted it, and Kyle Shanahan said, essentially, fuck, this guy's brutal. I'm going to run. And he made it to 3 quarters into the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, outplaying the Chiefs. And it was bang, bang, 2 big plays, 2 touchdowns, game over. Margin of error is very small playing this way.
All right, Johnny Mac, thanks for joining in on the Birds 365 this morning. Thanks for prevailing through our never-ending technical issues that we seem to have today at the start of the show. Johnny Mac prevailed. You can see we got a different setup, different audio, different look, different everything here on the show. We are on an entirely new platform, but we appreciate John. John, we'll be following you along. Make sure you guys follow John at JF McMullen to see what happens today in Eagle Land. Drama in Eagle Land. Johnny Mac, thanks for joining in, brother.
All right, thanks everybody for hanging in. Hopefully we'll be back to normal tomorrow, but who knows?
Who knows what will happen. Thank you, John.
All right, see you guys.
There's Johnny Mac joining us on Birds 365. A whole different look today, everybody. We appreciate you guys being here, by the way. This is one of those days, one of those shows that has been a pain in the butt with technical stuff, but we are prevailing. I do want to read a couple comments. You can see I put the comments on the screen. I like that. Then I now have them up on the screen. Maybe I like this new software that we're using. I got to learn how to use it a little bit better. Yeah, I don't think this is a small problem. And for everybody who says this is all media created, I don't get how you could say that this is media created. It's one thing for things to be media created when we finish a game and, the media makes stories about the game. This is Jalen Hurts. This is AJ Brown. This is Landon Dickerson. This is all these players, Brandon Graham, that are talking about this. There's obviously problems inside the locker room right now that are bigger than many people might want to believe. I will get to a couple super chats here. I know I got to most of them. Warfighter took the stupid comment of the day. Congratulations to Warfighter. Put your crown on. You got the stupid comment of the day, and this is what his response. He says, "Stupid, LMAO. Bitching when your team is 11-2 is fucking stupid. GTFOH." Okay. You think it's me bitching, or is Brandon Graham bitching? Is AJ Brown bitching? Is Jordan Mailata bitching? Is Lane Johnson bitching? Warfighter. I don't give a shit if you listen to me, but don't you care about the guys on the team? Again, number 1 and number 2 for stupid comments of the day go to Warfighter. Christopher Darker checks in. "I really think Jalen has become gun shy. He was letting it loose in the beginning of the season, and everyone was destroying him for turnovers. He heard the complaints, and he's being more conservative." Maybe that is the case. I mean, I guess that's a fair thing to wonder at this point with the way Jalen is gun shy about everything. But I don't know what exactly the issue is. Y'all listen to what you want. I also said in the chat the passing game should be better, but at 11-2, it's being blown way out of proportion. Yeah, but Rashid, it's not being blown out of proportion by us. So why are you coming here and saying that we're blowing it out of? Who's blowing it out of proportion, Rashid? Is it Zander Krause on Birds 365 and John McMullen and Dan Cilio and WIP? Or is it Brandon Graham? Is it AJ Brown? Is it Nick Sirianni? Is it Jordan Mailata? Like, I don't understand what you're insinuating here. This is entirely 100% created by the people in the locker room. 100%. 100% created by the people in the locker room. I don't really know how you can turn this on the media or fans or whatever you want to call it. BG is not the media, like Barbara Carroll says here. BG is not the media. So, yeah, Dabney, it's the media. I know, Dabney, I know. It's everything is the media's fault. I know. But you know what? Birds 365 podcast that has 500 people watching is the issue for the $1 billion football team. You know what? You're right. That's a really smart comment by you, Dabney. Dabney, we got a job to do, dude. He says, "Do you understand how you pour gas on it? Do you want us to not react to it? You think Brandon Graham says something and we're not supposed to react to it?" I mean, it's a stupid take. Carl Hawk, you're piling on. You sound like another snowflake, Carl. Go to another show. Dirty D checks in. "It's so crazy. I've never seen any other team melt down after being 11-2. 2 seasons in a row this has happened. Same week and everything." It's interesting, man. I don't know what's going on inside that locker room, which is why I do wonder, what is the real crux of the issue here? I mean, I don't know what the crux of this issue is inside the locker room. It certainly looks like AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. I don't want to speculate about their friendship, but it was talked about how they're great friends and all these great things, which is cool. But maybe he's pissed. I mean, look, I brought up last night's game. You think AJ Brown felt better last night watching Jamar Chase, who had 14 receptions, 177 yards, and 2 touchdowns? How many targets did Jamar Chase have last night? We're talking about 4 to 6 targets a game right now for AJ Brown. Let me look what Jamar Chase's targets were last night. That's what a 1 should be getting. 18 targets last night. 18 targets for Jamar Chase. We're throwing the ball 6 times to A.J. Brown. Answer this question. Is A.J. Brown a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL? Is A.J. Brown a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, by your estimation? Is A.J. Brown a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL? You tell me in the chat if A.J. Brown is a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. He had no targets in the first. Sure enough, he didn't get his first target till 1 minute and 45 seconds left in the first half. I mean, the guy's open every single day. And then everyone's like, oh, well, look at the Bengals record. All right, that's fine. That's a fair comeback. But you're managing more than just what your record is. You're managing personalities, players, talents, all these different things. It's a more complex issue than you're leading on to believe. It's much more complex. And I'll ask you this. We have A.J. Brown on our team. Do you believe the best way to the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles, even if you agree with me right now, even if you're Dabney and you hate me and you're Larry or whoever you're Carl and you're all upset with us talking about this, do you believe the best way to the Super Bowl for the Eagles is by utilizing A.J. Brown for 6 targets or a game? Do you think that's the best way for this team to get to the Super Bowl? Or is it to involve your 2 top 10, top 12 wide receivers in the game more and have them as weapons going into late into the season? Warfighter checks in. Warfighter, I do appreciate you being here. It's all sports talk, man. So I know I criticized you. You criticized me. All good. We can go back and disagree. I have no issue with that. He says, I don't care about targets when we are winning. You say my comments are stupid, but you want stats over standings. I don't want stats over standings. I want a team that is bought into the process and is going to be able to reach to go the distance. Warfighter. And if you don't see how, because I get it. I get this point. Like we're winning 11, we're 11-2. Why the hell do we care about stats? But there's human elements here. And if these dudes aren't bought in, if AJ Brown isn't on the same page as Jalen Hurts, that's not a good setup. So we can be 11-2 now, but are we going to get to the play? You think Warfighter, honestly, you think the setup that we have now with the way AJ has expressed himself is conducive to winning a Super Bowl? Forget what I want. Forget what I want. Who cares what I want? What I want doesn't matter. Do you believe that this is the best way to get to a Super Bowl? Do you believe the camaraderie in the locker room is the best way to get to the Super Bowl? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Look at this guy. This guy has never had a good comment on this channel in 3 fucking years, Larry Hawk. This guy is as smart as a box of rocks. A box of pebbles. I'm not even giving you a box of rocks. A box of pebbles. Every player on the team has an issue with the passing game, but Larry Hawk wants to tell you it's all JAKIB Sports. It's all WIP. Come on, man. This team clearly has issues right now. Why am I getting a phone call from Dan Cilio? Let's do some business on the air. I don't know what Big Sills wanted. Furman checks in. Honestly, guys, maybe Jalen just isn't that guy. To me, it seems like that's what's happening. It seems like the team is starting to call out the problem, and it's one of those problems that you don't really want to say out loud, and you probably try and beat around the bush for a little bit, and now we've gotten to the point where A.J. Brown is fed up. The team is barely squeaking by the Panthers. The team can't pass the ball versus one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and now they're upset about it, and they don't believe that this is the best way to get forward, to go to the Super Bowl. I don't know how we can look at it any different than that. Rashid says, I think in general, Zander, not here, but out of proportion everywhere. Again, yes, the passing game should be better. The drama being created is crazy, though. But Rashid, where is the drama being created? Where's the drama? Is it me? It's being created from people inside the locker room. That's where I don't know how we can, I don't agree. This is created from people who are inside the locker room, from players on the team. I get your point. I do appreciate it. Lauren Crampsey, thank you for the $20. I appreciate the super chat. I don't know if I ever seen you in here. Good stuff, though. Appreciate it. Not sure if anyone watched the Panthers tape, but when AJ says passing, he is not just talking about the quarterback, play calling, missed routes, missed blocks. elites, they'll fix it. Appreciate you, JAKIB team. I think that's a fair point. I mean, certainly the passing game is not all on the quarterback. But, Lauren, don't you think that the way that AJ worded that is a little bit of a shot at Jalen Hurts? I mean, think about it, Lauren. Jalen Hurts touches the ball every single play on offense. Every single play. He's facilitating the offense, whether it's running the ball, passing the ball, RPO, play action, read option, doesn't matter what it is. The guy who's facilitating it is Jalen Hurts. So when AJ Brown says, we can't pass well, or passing is our problem, in a way, that's an indictment on the quarterback. Is it an indictment on Kellen Moore? Sure. But Lauren, why can we turn on tape? I mean, you just mentioned it, the Panthers tape. How many times did you see AJ Brown running open? Like every time that AJ Brown runs open and he doesn't get the ball, or Hurts looks him off like we've seen him do on tape, he remembers that. He notices that. And then it builds up over time, and now you have a wide receiver who's making $30 million a year, who believes, rightfully so, that he's one of the best players on planet Earth. He wants the ball. He wants the ball, maybe for selfish reasons, but I think more importantly, he wants the ball because he believes that's best for the team to win the most amount of games going forward. And I would agree with him. I'm going to get to all the super chats here. Dabney, I appreciate it. Dabney says, why would AJ take a shot at the godfather of his kids, Zander? I think this is more in the playbook in this RPO style offense. Dabney, is that all Jalen? I mean, look, I'm not trying to pick on him, but is that all Jalen can do at this point? He is in his fourth year. It's his third coordinator. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, at what point do we say, okay, it is on Jalen a little bit, right? And listen, I'm a godfather. I have 3 godchildren. I'm 26 years old. I already got 3 godchildren. And that I'm running those numbers up. I hope all my siblings have kids, and I can be a godfather for all of their kids. I'm a very faithful man. I love faith. So being a godfather doesn't fall on deaf ears for me. I am a godfather myself. I have 3 godchildren, 3 beautiful godchildren. 1 on the way, by the way, due after the new year. So you're right. I said this last night, Dabney. I did a show last night, and I talked about this where it seems like the relationship wouldn't deteriorate over football or over, the one bad game versus the Panthers when this man is the godfather of your daughter. I agree, Dabney. I find it hard to believe that their relationship has deteriorated over this. But you can't help but wonder, Dabney, is it at least fair to wonder? Nosty Beats checks in. It's a shame Pickett is the backup. They couldn't even elect to bench Hurts for a game to see if the next guy up can run this offense more effectively through the air. I am the biggest Kenny Pickett hater you will find. So, no, do not go to Kenny Pickett. As much as I'll criticize Jalen Hurts, I will fully acknowledge that this team will go absolutely nowhere without Jalen Hurts at the helm. I mean, you're going to put Kenny Pickett in, we're fucked. We're fucked. Seriously, sell your tickets. We're fucked if we put Kenny Pickett in. Zay, do you think the locker room is split on this? Furman, you heard John say he doesn't really think that this is going to be as big of a problem as it right now it's made out to be. But, Furman, doesn't this kind of strike you as one of those things that could split a locker room or that could create sides in a locker room? Like, I don't know if they're split on it yet, but is this something that's going to permeate and be present for the next couple of weeks? Maybe. And by the way, remember, this is the wrong time for this to be happening. We're in week 15, guys. We have 4 weeks left in the season. 4 weeks left in the season. And then it's playoff time. And then it's put up or shut up. I don't know, man. Tough place to be right now with this team. Roddy Fingers, appreciate you checking in, man. I don't think I've ever seen you on the channel. Thanks for being here. We appreciate the support. It's criminal not to target A.J. Brown until late in the second quarter, especially when your offense can't score in the first quarter. I agree. But, Roddy, sometimes I think their style is backwards, where they come out and they try and throw the ball on their first couple of plays over and over again. If it's me, I'm like, give the ball to Saquon early. Let the game settle in, right? Like the first drive, the game always has to find its rhythm, find its groove, settle into the identity of the game. Every game has its own identity. And sometimes I feel like the Eagles try and force it so much early that it comes back to bite them in the end. I'd like to see a drive that starts first and second down. Run the ball with Saquon Barkley. See what happens. Run the ball with Saquon Barkley. Stop trying to force it. And then that will open up the passing game more, and then you work that in. But I hear you. They suck in the first quarter, so it's fair to wonder why AJ's not more involved. A checks in. I think we lean on the physicality of the offensive line and Saquon Barkley and forcing opposing defenses to leave wideouts one-on-one in coverage. I agree. And that's what's happening. I mean, that's why, and that's one of the reasons why the passing game should be better. Because you have Saquon running absolutely wild, and that should make the passing game easier. That should make you're getting A.J. Brown one-on-one. You wouldn't get that if you didn't have an all-pro back. Now, you would get it here and there, but you wouldn't get it at the rate that they do. It's a fair question. I think in general, Zander, not here, but out of proportion everywhere, and the passing game should be better. The drama being created is crazy, though. Yeah, it is. I don't know what to make of all this shit, man, because so much of me is like, we're 11-2. Why are we talking about this? But if the whole team is having this issue, this must mean it's permeating inside the locker room more than the public sees. Let me get to the new comments. I'm way behind on the comments. Trying to get this new software. I'm still learning it, everybody. So the super chats, they don't go to one spot like they do on my other software. So I got to scroll through, and then I'm way behind. Appreciate everybody for being here, man. Hit that like button this morning. We got a good crowd. A lot of drama here in Philly, man, which sucks. It really does suck. 124 likes, though. Big thanks to everybody for the support this morning. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Dirty D says, well, according to Brandon Graham, at least the way I took what he said, something personal happened, which has caused strain on their business relationship. Dirty D, that was the one part of Brandon Graham's comments that I don't want to speculate on. Like Dabney just brought it up. Jalen's his daughter's godfather. Like, do we think these dudes hate each other? Maybe something. Look, it's not out of the realm of possibility for something to have happened, but I don't really want to go there. And like I said, I didn't want to comment. I more took Brandon Graham ripping into AJ Brown and the whole problems of the offense being bigger than they made out to be, bigger than the comments on their relationship, because I'm not going to speak on another man's relationship with another man and them being friends and all of those things. But it certainly does look like, it is. But Dirty D, isn't the other part of that, like, couldn't it? Because I think Brandon Graham maybe misspoke a little bit there where he said that. And I'm like, well, is he talking about that they have a relationship prior and you can't let the personal relationship get in the business relationship? Like, this is business and we got to handle business, and you guys being friends shouldn't get in the way of that. I don't know. That was one of those comments where I think could be interpreted multiple different ways. And I wasn't exactly sure how to interpret that comment there. Bald Eagle checks in. Everyone needs to relax. It's one game after the bye week. Our bye week was early and we're exhausted. It's not an excuse. It's simply an observation. I mean, that's fine, Bald Eagle. I'll relax, but we don't have another bye week. So is the team going to be able to prevail and get through? Is this not going to be? Listen, maybe Sunday will roll around. We'll beat the brakes off the Pittsburgh Steelers, and everything will be sunshine and peaches and cream in Philly. Maybe that will happen. I'm doubtful. Like, doesn't this seem like a bigger problem than that? I'm trying to be relaxed too. I hear you. I get it. I believe me. I get it. But Lauren follows up. Lauren, thanks for your support today. They'll fix it. I like it, Lauren. I appreciate that. I appreciate that optimism. I don't necessarily share in it with you, but I appreciate the optimism. Any super chats I missed? It's tough to keep track of all these things. All right, I think I got them all. I got some new ones here. Thanks, guys, by the way. Appreciate you all. Let me get to the new ones here. Philly Don checks in. Philly Don, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I don't think leaders like Johnson, Mailata, Barkley will let this shit split the locker room. Shit will iron itself out in-house. Yeah, but Philly, that was my issue with why this has gone so public. And, as much as I was upset about the passing game and I could resonate and understand where A.J. Brown was coming from, I do think there's a level of saying, AJ, I know that you're upset, right? I know that you want the ball more, but should you have said that after a 9th straight win? Saquon breaks the Saquon broke Shady McCoy's franchise rushing record in Philly. We haven't even talked about it. It hasn't even been a topic of discussion anywhere. Think about it. These are big problems, and they're going to have to get unfair. I think the head coach, I think the quarterback, I think A.J. Brown, I think Brandon. These are all guys that should be at the front of the locker room, front of the meeting room today, talking and ironing these things out. Because if you let this permeate, it will be a bigger issue down the stretch. And I'd like to believe, Philly Don, that you're correct that it will iron itself out. But isn't that kind of pie in the sky thinking? Realistically, Philly Don, isn't that just hoping that everything works out? Right? Rashid Mixon, appreciate your support, Rashid. He says, to me, that Jalen comment said it all, Zan. They changed the offense at 2-2 and Jalen was throwing because of turnovers instead of letting Jalen get a handle now. Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly a plausible explanation, but I don't know, man. I don't know what to fucking think. Adios guy says Jalen changed his QB after he went woke. I don't know what that means, Adios. You said that yesterday too. Did Jalen go woke? Did I miss something? Jalen seems like a perfectly normal, good dude who gives back to the community, does good things, has good charities. Like Jalen doesn't. I don't know what you mean. Went woke. I listen. I'm not a big fan of the woke movement, but I never saw anything from Jalen that showed that. All this drama made this week a must win. This bum Jalen better step it up. MFer can't throw the ball to open receivers. I hate this dude. Brian, I appreciate your passion and your consistency. I think it's fair at this point to want more out of an offense that's assembled the amount of talent that they have. I think it's fair to want more. I do. I think it's fair to want more. All right, everybody. 138 likes. Can we get to 150 today? We had a good show today. A lot of good camaraderie. I wish we had Johnny Mac for more time today. This was one of those shows where you needed a full 2 hours. We had, for those just checking in, we had major technical issues at the start of the show today. We were going live. We could hear each other, but nobody could hear us. It was weird. JT says, Zander, doesn't this remind you of that Tennessee team with Henry, Brown, and Tannehill? A little bit. I mean, we're so much more talented than that team, dude. We are so much more talented than that team. We're so much more talented than that team. But, yeah. Yeah. Listen, this sucks. It sucks to be here at 9-2 or 11-2, excuse me, not 9-2, 9 straight, 11-2, and be talking about this. But it's not. This is like if this was entirely media created, then I would empathize and agree with what many say. Is why does everybody blow everything up? But this is not media created. This is player created. And that leads me to believe that things inside the locker room are not good right now. Like Brandon Graham's been around for 15 years, guys. He's going to be an Eagles Hall of Famer. He has a Super Bowl ring in Philly. He's the epitome of Eagle excellence. I think he's one of the greatest Eagles of all time. Maybe doesn't have the stats like some of the other guys, but what he's done for this organization, strip sack in the Super Bowl, consummate pro, 36 years old, and he was playing like a beast all season. Like, has Brandon Graham earned the benefit of the doubt? Has he? Seriously. Has Brandon Graham earned the benefit of the doubt to you? If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. Maybe I haven't earned the benefit of the doubt. But Brandon Graham said this. And I know Brandon Graham came out and he apologized right away because it let's not lie about this. Brandon Graham got a text immediately from the PR department, Bob Lang, immediately, and said, you can't wait for the morning. You need to put out a statement right now. Right now. I don't think BG just says shit to say shit. I really don't. Let's play the clip. Let's play the clip. Can you guys see the clip? I'm trying to work on this new software. It's hard to let me remove that for a second. Sorry, let me make this new. All right, here we go. Here we go.
The person that's complaining need to be accountable. And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he noticed. He, I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he responds to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed. And I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we have to make sure that we don't let the personal get in the way of the business. And that's what we got to do better as right now, because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game, because, man, it's like a lot of stuff, most of the time, it's just a conversation that just need to be had. But the person with the problem got to want to talk to the person other than others. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Let personal stuff go, says Brandon Graham. The person complaining has to be accountable, says Brandon Graham. We need to talk this out as men, says Brandon Graham. Bald Eagle check in. You think Saquon's pissed? You think he's thinking to himself, I just busted my ass this whole season only for AJ to take the light from me? Yeah, but Saquon, listen, Saquon shouldn't be pissed about nothing. This whole season's been about Saquon. If Saquon has that mentality, then what's worse, that or AJ wanting the ball? This dude's in every MVP conversation. He's on every talk show. He's on every podcast. He's all over the place. Saquon Barkley has gotten more publicity in 13 games with the Eagles than he did in 5 years with the Giants, or 6 years with the Giants. Saquon Barkley shouldn't be pissed about nothing. He shouldn't be pissed about nothing. Nothing. Agreed, Chonky Cat. Personal stuff. 2 comments on that. Andrew Comrade. Personal stuff. Show enough, I'm with you, man. BG said nothing wrong. You know, I have a problem, by the way. I have a big problem with I get it. Maybe BG shouldn't have said this, but is Philadelphia going to turn on Brandon Graham now? What the fuck has A.J. Brown done for this city over what Brandon Graham has done for this city? This is a separate point, by the way, for me. Listen, I'm not happy he said it out loud, but I'm not about to sit here and turn on Brandon Graham and say, oh, cut Brandon Graham or FBG this or whatever you want. I love Brandon Graham, and this doesn't change that for 1 second. BG's done way more for this city than A.J. Brown or Jalen Hurts have combined. Don't get it twisted. I ain't shitting on Brandon Graham. No way. Is it a problem? Yeah. Is he going to have to speak about this? Yes. Should he have said it? Probably not. Is one part of me wondering whether BG thought that this was necessary to say as a leader? Potentially. Philly Bird says, y'all reaching. Nobody turning on BG. I don't know, man. I seeing some people turning on BG over on social media. I mean, look, you got a comment right here. BG's got to go. BG's got to go. Why? To please A.J. Brown? Arthur? What has A.J. Brown done for you that Brandon Graham hasn't? Let me know. 55 is a legend in this city. 55 is a legend in this city. War Fighter. Yeah, War Fighter. I think this is honestly plausible, man. I really do. This is why I said BG's 15 years, man. Like, BG doesn't say anything that's... BG knows what he's doing. War Fighter said, I think BG put the word out there so AJ can wake the F up. Maybe. Maybe. Philly Don said, loving the new platform. Thanks, Philly Don. I appreciate you being here, man. Dirty D. I'm glad BG put them on blast. They are grown men and need to be held accountable. I agree. I have no issue with. I mean, look, you can argue maybe Brandon Graham probably shouldn't have said it or could have handled it a little differently. Sure. But, there is a part of me that wonders, did Brandon Graham do that intentionally? Did he do that on purpose because he felt that this is something that needed to be nipped in the bud or discussed or created right now? I don't know. I appreciate everybody's support today. Don't forget to hit that like button. We're up over 150 likes. A big thanks to all of you guys. For those just checking in, we had major technical issues on Birds 365 this morning. We were trying to go live at 8. There was no audio coming through. It was driving me crazy. I'm telling you, this whole I almost had 3 holes in this wall. I almost pulled out old Zay and just started beating the shit out of the wall. I was so pissed. But anyway, we prevailed. I had to buy a whole new software that I bought on the fly, tried to make it work, and we made it work. We had at least a show today, so I'm happy we got up for everybody to get a show today. I'll take a couple more comments before I get out of here. I don't know where to think. I don't know what to think right now as an Eagle fan. I start my start to the show, which is ultimately cut off, was drama in Eagle Land. That was my first takeaway. And that's ultimately what I believe is happening right now, and I'm not sure what to make of it. We got a team that's 11-2. We got a running back that's on pace to break a record that hasn't been broken in 40 years. We got a number 1 defense in the NFL. Fu, I don't think AJ said anything wrong. To be clear, I don't think AJ. I mean, maybe AJ. Fu, what do you think of the line of AJ didn't say anything wrong, but what do you think of the line of thinking that maybe AJ should have kept that in house? Like maybe AJ shouldn't have said that right after the game. I think that's a fair line of thinking. I'm not saying I think BG. I'm not saying I think BG or not BG. AJ wasn't wrong, but oh, come on, Anthony. You're smarter than this, Anthony. Zander, they asked AJ the same question 3 weeks in a row. That leads to this. Media definitely played a part. You say that like AJ's not thinking it. That's what the media is there to do, Anthony. That's not just in Philly. You're there to ask questions and tell the story of what's going on the best you can by prodding for information, talking to people, using sources, getting to the bottom of what is hidden from the public. That's the job of the media, of a reporter. I'm not blaming. I mean, come on. This isn't a media-driven thing. What are you using? I'm on Restream right now. Restream, Mad Bird. It's called Restream. Chuck, we'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm gonna obviously we'll have a Dan Silio show. If we have to use this one, we will. But Sills. Oh my goodness. Last thing I want to do is make Sills have to use this. Sills on a new software is not a good combination. Yeah, Phil, you're right. We were all thinking it. We were talking about it on the postgame show, right when he said it. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I just wonder if maybe he should have, maybe a better way forward would have been keeping it in-house. But I don't know. I got no issue with AJ wanting the ball. I think AJ is a top 3 receiver in the NFL. And I don't believe getting to the Super Bowl will happen if you're going to not have AJ Brown fully involved in the offense. I don't believe that's a viable way to get to the Super Bowl. I don't. I will agree with this. Sills is licking his chops right now. This is Super Bowl stuff for Cilio. I mean, this is home run. All right, everybody. I'm going to try and end. I'm going to make sure I end this thing right. I don't even know. This whole software completely new, and we were live in seconds, so I didn't have a chance to play around on it at all. So hit that like button on your way out. We'll be live again 2 to 6 today in the National Football Show. Hopefully everything gets resolved with our other platform and we can do things as usual. Marquis says, Zander, just imagine how Smitty feels. Yeah, right. AJ's speaking up and he's getting more targets than Smitty. Smitty can't be happy, man. Smitty can't be happy. But I do think Smitty's a good pro and he'll take it well, but there's no way he's happy. again. And then you turn on the game last night and you watch the Bengals. And Jamar Chase gets 18 targets. And I know people, the Bengals don't have a good record and all these. Okay, great. Jamar Chase got 18 targets last night. If you think any receiver watches that and who believes that they're great and doesn't want that, you are mistaken. That is the nature of a wide receiver. Smitty's definitely pissed off too. Here we go, Dio. Thank you, Dio. Yes, Paul, they did. I think they did. I think they did cut our lines. We couldn't get live this morning at all, Paul. They didn't want us talking about this. We bring you the truth on JAKIB. We will not hide from the truth, even if it pisses people off, like Larry. Fucking Larry. Simp Larry. Framing it as targets for AJ is oversimplification. It's passing game as a whole. It's simple. The passing game sucks, and coaches and players need to work to make it better. Yeah, that's fair. It's not just not just AJ Brown, but I mean, it's certainly a point to the quarterback, Dio, where I get it. You're right. It's more than just targets to AJ, but when AJ Brown says that, it points a finger at the quarterback. That's why, look, Nick Sirianni was on, Jalen Hurts is a big part of the reason that we're, 11-2 right now. Like, Nick wouldn't be saying that if this didn't have some effect on the quarterback. So while I agree with you, Dio, the truth is not always the perception. Now, perception is not always reality, but perception matters in a big way, especially when you're fueled by public perception and media and all the different things that bring eyeballs to Philly. Good question here. Philly Birds and Beer says, Zander, what does JAKIB stand for? JAKIB is an acronym for, my dad started JAKIB, and JAKIB Sports is new. JAKIB Sports started in 2020, late 2020, early 2021. And that's when we launched, me and my father together launched JAKIB Sports. That was a new incarnation of JAKIB. JAKIB Media has been around for about 15 years now. 2010 it was started, so coming into year 15 here. It's an acronym for my dad's 5 kids. So my dad has 5 kids, and those are the first letter of each of their names. So I'm the A in JAKIB. I'm Alexander. I'm Zander, but I'm Alexander is my full name. So it's Joseph, Alexander, Kantiri, Isabel, Brittany. And no, I'm not Nosty Beats. Being a Nepo baby means you're left with a bunch of shit. We built this from the ground up. I'm not left with any money. Nothing. Nepo baby means you're given something. I wasn't given shit, dude. Get out of here with that stupid comment. I get that all the time. I'm like, save that for fucking actual people that are Nepo baby. And by the way, the other comment to this is people who comment this are always people who are disgruntled. Do you want me to apologize to you, Nosty Beats, because my father works hard in life? Do you want me to apologize for that? Nosty, do you work hard for your family? Do you work hard for your family? Stupid comment, man. Stupid comment. If I was a Nepo baby, I'd be dominating, though. If I had a pile of cash, unlimited cash, we on the margins, my friend. We're building a business on the margins. Nepo means here's $1 million. Do whatever you want with it. Don't care if you lose it. That ain't this, my friend. That ain't this. That ain't this. All right, I got to go. I got an issue I'm dealing with. Cilio's texting me. He's got a big issue. Let me deal with this right now. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Hit that like button on the show today. I appreciate all of you. No, Steve, I know you were just no, you didn't touch a nerve, but I get the comment all the time, and I'm like, Nepo. Boy, I wish I had $1 million in the bank. I wish I could go buy a house. I wish I could get married. I wish I could have kids and do all the things I want to do in life, but I got to earn it. I got to work, and I got to grind to get there. I'm not there yet. That's the reality of where I'm at. So I hear you, but yeah, maybe it does hit a nerve because I'm like, boy, I'm not where I want to be yet. Fuck. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all being here today. You guys were great. Hit that like button on your way out, and I'll see you.